Welcome, truth seekers, to the deep dive. Today, we're diving headfirst into a question that's, well, it's been around forever, hasn't it? What truly defines human nature?
It's the big one.
Yeah. Are we, inherently good? Striving for liberty, equality, guided by reason, that kind of thing?
Or are we fundamentally savage? Do we need strict, maybe even brutal control to stop everything from just falling apart into chaos?
Exactly. It's a fundamental question. And the answers societies lean towards, well, they shape everything, don't they? Governments, laws.
Even the entertainment we create. And Panem, the world we're exploring today, offers a really chilling, extreme answer to that very question. It forces us to look at those extremes.
Absolutely. And that's exactly why we started the deep dive. We plunge into a stack of sources, books, articles, whatever we can get our hands on.
We do the digging.
Yeah, we do the digging so you don't have to. Our mission is to give you that shortcut to being really well informed, pull out those crucial nuggets of insight.
Hopefully with a few surprising facts along the way.
And maybe just enough humor to keep it from getting too heavy, right?
Yeah.
Think of us as those friends who've already read the book and are bursting to talk about all the interesting bits.
And today, that book, or rather those excerpts, take us into the really brutal formative years of Panem. We're looking at Suzanne Collins' The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes.
Now, if you know the Hunger Games trilogy, this is the origin story. It's how future President Snow became, well, Snow.
But our deep dive today isn't just the story itself. We're also digging into these incredibly powerful philosophical quotes that Collins puts right at the beginning.
Oh, yeah. Those are key. They're not just decoration.
Not at all. They're like the intellectual scaffolding for Panem's whole chilling social experiment.
Yeah.
They lay out the core conflicts right from page 1.
That's right. So our mission today is to unpack that really complex, sometimes horrifying interplay between human nature and the societal structures claiming to manage it.
We'll be exploring themes of survival, definitely. Power, control, transformation, all through the lens of a really pivotal moment, the 10th Hunger Games.
This is the story of a young man, Coriolanus Snow, desperate for status, whose fate gets completely tangled up with this spectacle he starts out despising.
And it's about how that experience shapes not just him, but the entire future of Panem. It's a dark beginning.
It really is. So let's kick things off by setting that philosophical stage. Where do these ideas come from? Setting the philosophical stage. Foundational ideas of society and human nature. Okay, so before we even meet Coriolanus properly, the book hits us with these really thought-provoking quotes. Like you said, they're not just window dressing.
No, they lay the groundwork for everything. They set up this kind of philosophical battleground that the whole story takes place on. It's like Collins is saying, okay, here are the competing ideas about humanity. Now watch them play out.
It really does feel like an experiment. And the quotes themselves, they present these really different views on what humans are like deep down and what society should do about it.
Exactly. What's fascinating is how they establish this fundamental tension right away. Conflicting viewpoints on our essential state, and by extension, the role of government. Panem becomes the testing ground.
So first up, we have John Locke. This is from his second treatise of government way back in 1689.
Right. And Locke's talking about this idea of a state of nature. He believes that in this natural state, before complex societies, all individuals are equal and independent.
Okay, equal and independent. And what governs them?
Reason. He calls it the law of nature. And this law, this reason, basically teaches everyone that because we're all equal and independent, nobody should harm anyone else's life, health, liberty, or possessions.
Huh. So an inherent capacity for reason, a natural tendency towards peace and respecting each other's rights, that sounds pretty optimistic.
It is. It's a cornerstone idea for a lot of democratic thought. That we can, through reason, coexist peacefully without needing an iron fist.
But then you look at Panem, and especially the Hunger Games. If Locke is right, how do you justify that? How do you justify the capital's total control, the games framed as punishment?
You can't, really. Locke's idea immediately challenges the capital's whole premise. It questions the moral foundation of Panem right from the start. It suggests the capital's power might be built on a fundamental lie about what humans are capable of.
Okay, so Locke gives us this optimistic view. Then who's next?
Then, almost a century later, you get Jean-Jacques Rousseau. 1762, The Social Contract, and his famous line, "Man is born free and everywhere he is in chains."
Wow, that hits different, doesn't it? Born free, but everywhere in chains.
It's a stark contrast. Rousseau isn't saying we're inherently evil, but he suggests while we start with natural freedom, it's society, the institutions, the rules we create that imposes limits, constraints, that effectively enslaves us.
So society corrupts us, or at least restricts that natural freedom.
That's the implication. It corrupts the free individual. And you
Right.
can see how that resonates in Panem. Obviously, for the district citizens, they're literally born into chains, into a system that controls every aspect of their lives.
Yeah, the districts are the obvious example. But you think it applies to the capital too?
I think so, yeah. In a different way.
Eh.
Think about Coriolanus. He's technically privileged, but he's trapped too, isn't he?
Yeah.
By societal expectations, by his family's fallen status, the rigid class system. His chains might be gold-plated, but they're still chains.
That's a good point. Okay, so we have Locke's reason and Rousseau's chains. What else?
We jump forward again to the Romantic era. William Wordsworth, The Tables Turned, 1798. He writes, "Our meddling intellect misshapes the beauteous forms of things. We murder to dissect."
We murder to dissect. That's intense. What's he getting at there?
It's a critique of, overanalyzing things. Taking things apart so much, whether it's nature or maybe human nature, that you destroy the very thing you're trying to understand. You lose its essence, its beauty.
That sounds eerily like the game makers, doesn't it? Their whole approach.
It really does. It feels like a direct warning about the capital's cold, scientific, game maker mentality. They're literally dissecting human behavior in the arena, manipulating people, trying to understand or control humanity by breaking it down.
But in doing that, they're not just observing, they're destroying, they're murdering that essential humanity. It's chilling foreshadowing.
Absolutely. And the final quote ties into that destructive element even more directly. It's from Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, 1818.
Ah, Frankenstein's monster.
Exactly. The quote focuses on the blight of all kindly feeling by the loathing and scorn which his protectors had manifested towards him.
So how cruelty and rejection from those who should care for you can basically poison any good potential, create a monster.
Precisely. It highlights how external treatment, especially rejection and scorn, can warp someone.
Yeah.
Turn something potentially good into something monstrous.
And the connection to the Hunger Games is immediate. The dehumanization of the tributes, the capital's open loathing and scorn, is designed to make them fight, to make them seem monstrous.
Right. But it also makes you wonder about the protectors, the capital citizens. Does perpetuating this system, showing this scorn, blight their kindly feelings too? Do they become monstrous in the process?
Wow. So these 4 quotes, they just throw all these massive questions at you right away. Is humanity good, savage, corrupted by society, warped by cruelty? It frames the whole story as this giant, brutal experiment.
It really does. And Coriolanus Snow's journey becomes the central data point in that experiment. Which hypothesis will his life end up supporting? That's the terrifying question. 2, the capital's fractured facade, a society in decline.
Okay, so with those big philosophical ideas swirling, let's actually dive into the world itself. And the first thing that hits you is that the capital, especially through Coriolanus Snow's eyes, is, well, it's not the shiny, perfect place you might imagine later on.
Not at all. It's deeply scarred by the war. And that physical decay, you really feel it mirrors a kind of moral and societal decay, too. They're trying hard to keep up appearances, but underneath, it's crumbling.
And Coriolanus himself is the perfect example of that, right? He lives in this fancy penthouse, top floor of a supposedly opulent building, heir to this famous Snow name.
But the reality is completely different. The book tells us straight up his family is as poor as district scum. He's surviving purely on his wits.
It's such a stark contrast, and he goes to such lengths to hide it.
Oh, absolutely. There's this whole list of precautions. Eating this anemic cabbage soup, making sure he drinks every single drop so his stomach doesn't growl during the reaping ceremony.
Even his clothes, wearing his father's old shirt, which someone actually recognizes. It just shows how thin that veneer of status really is.
And the apartment itself is like a battleground. It's a microcosm of the capital, bearing the scars of the relentless rebel attacks.
You mean physically scarred?
Yeah, physically. Walls veined with cracks. Ceilings with holes from missing plaster, windows held together with ugly black strips of electrical tape. It's not just poor, it's damaged. It shows the war wasn't just something that happened out there in the districts. It hit the capital hard, too.
And they had to sell things off.
They did. Sold or traded possessions, leaving rooms entirely empty, others just sparsely furnished. And there's this really harrowing detail about the bitter cold of the siege's final winter.
What happened then?
They burned furniture to stay warm. And not just furniture, innumerable volumes of books. Coriolanus remembers his own picture books being reduced to ashes.
Wow. Burning books to survive. That says so much, like Wordsworth's idea, destroying knowledge, beauty, just to stay alive.
It's incredibly symbolic. And it contrasts sharply with this memory Coriolanus has of a time before when waste was almost a status symbol.
The garbage trucks.
Yeah, watching Avoxes and his grandmam noting they were the best workers, which is chilling in itself, emptying large bags of discarded food. He remembers it being a luxury to just toss it in the trash without a second thought.
And now avoiding waste is normal, but being wasteful again is becoming fashionable as a sign of prosperity.
Exactly. It shows how warped their values have become, how much they cling to any sign of returning normalcy, even if it's something like conspicuous waste.
And the family's survival is hanging by a thread, isn't it?
Completely. Tigress, his cousin, brings in a pittance from her fashion job, despite smelling like drains, another sign of decay. There is his grandmam's tiny military pension.
And Coriolanus gets benefits because his father was a war hero, but that's about to run out.
Right, when he graduates. So the pressure on him is immense. He needs to succeed, not just for himself, but for the whole family's survival and status.
And this isn't just a Snow family problem, is it? The wider capital society seems pretty messed up, too.
Definitely. The academy, their fancy school, is supposed to be for the elite, the children of the prominent, wealthy, and influential. Free tuition, free lunch. Sounds great. But you hear about Professor Satyria needing to get her drinking under control, and the book mentions that self-medication is a citywide epidemic.
So even the privileged are struggling to cope, numbing themselves.
It seems that way. A kind of underlying desperation or malaise, even among the supposed victors. It echoes Rousseau again. Maybe those chains are affecting everyone.
And for Coriolanus, things are about to get even worse financially.
Yeah, there's this new tax on his apartment that sends him into a panic. He's terrified of losing the penthouse, which means losing everything. Status, influence, dignity. He says the disgrace would kill his grandmother.
It's all about maintaining that name, that last shred of prestige.
It is. And his father's legacy looms large. He was a munitions tycoon, killed by a rebel bullet. His death left Coriolanus feeling this deep fear and vulnerability he could never shake. He felt protected by his father, and now that's gone.
Adding to the sense of decay, even Dean Highbottom, the guy credited with creating the Hunger Games, seems to be falling apart.
Yeah, he appears doped up on morphling, looking shrunken, skin sagging. Rumors are the Academy Board is losing patience. The architect of their biggest spectacle is physically crumbling.
So it really paints this picture of a capital just barely holding it together. It's got these deep cracks, physically and socially, and Coriolanus is right there in the middle of it, desperately trying to prop up his own family's crumbling facade.
It makes his later actions, his hunger for control, maybe not justifiable, but certainly understandable in the context of that desperation and decay. He's a product of this broken system from the start. 3, the Hunger Games. Punishment, spectacle, and evolution.
Okay, so we have this capital that's scarred, struggling, maybe even desperate, and into this mess comes the 10th annual Hunger Games. But like you said earlier, this is not the polished high-tech event we see later.
Not even close. This is the games in their raw, brutal infancy. Almost like a grim duty rather than a spectacle. And that raises a huge question. How does something like this evolve?
How does it go from just punishment to entertainment?
Exactly. And here in the 10th Games, we see that crucial turning point. The moment the capital, led by figures like Dr. Gall, starts trying to actively shape it, to make it more compelling, more controlling, twisting human nature for ratings, essentially.
So what was the original purpose, according to the text?
It's laid out very clearly. The games are a direct result of the Dark Days, the district's rebellion. They are punishment borne by the rebels. 24 tributes, a boy and girl from each defeated district chosen by lottery.
Drawn by lottery and then
thrown into an arena to kill each other. Dean Casca Highbottom is explicitly named as the man credited with the creation of the Hunger Games. And Coriolanus himself initially says their purpose is to punish the districts for the rebellion. Simple, brutal retribution.
But it wasn't really working as a must-watch event, was it?
No. The Capitol Arena itself, which used to host sports and entertainment, is now dilapidated. Tributes are basically just dumped in with some weapons. And the key problem for the Capitol, viewing was encouraged, but a lot of people avoided it.
They found it too unpleasant or just boring.
Maybe both. The text says how to make it more engaging was the challenge. That apathy, that lack of audience die-in is what drives all the changes we see starting here. If people aren't watching, the punishment loses its power as a public spectacle.
And this lack of engagement directly impacts Coriolanus when he gets his mentoring assignment.
Oh, big time. He gets the District 12 girl, And his reaction is pure horror. He calls it the smallest district, the joke district, whose kids always die in the first 5 minutes.
He sees it as a personal insult.
A public humiliation, yeah. He worries is proof that the Snow family is fading into insignificance. And his classmates mostly share that callous view. Arachne Crane just dismisses the tributes as rebel scum.
But Sejanus Plinth is different?
Sejanus offers that counterpoint. He's horrified, saying no matter what they do, they'll be thrown into the arena and left to fend for themselves. He sees the injustice, the inherent cruelty, where others see only punishment or inconvenience.
And this is where Dr. Volumnia Gall comes in, the head game maker.
Yes. She's the driving force behind transforming the games. She explicitly states there's no Hunger Games without the audience. She pushes the mentors, encourages them to take initiative, to understand the importance of keeping the games alive.
She's not just running the show, she's trying to reinvent it. To make horror marketable.
Pretty much. And her influence is immediate. She gets this marvelous idea, inspired by Sejanus bringing food to the tributes at the zoo, ironically to let people personally affect the outcome by sending gifts, like food, into the arena.
Ah, the start of the sponsor gifts, that changes everything.
It completely changes the dynamic. It brings the audience in, makes them participants. And then Festus suggests betting, giving odds on the tributes, an idea Coriolanus also had.
Which becomes the Plinth Prize.
Exactly. Funded by Sejanus' very wealthy father, Strabo Plinth. Suddenly, there's a concrete reward for the winning mentor. The games are being gamified, commercialized, even as they remain deadly serious.
And they're using events outside the arena for propaganda, too, like Arachne Crane's death.
Oh, definitely. Her death is immediately spun as valiant, a casualty of criminal rebellion. It's used explicitly to remind the districts that they were inferior. No room for nuance, just stark capital propaganda.
And the treatment of the fallen tributes.
It's gruesome. Paraded through the streets, some draped over the backs of horses, others literally dragged behind. It's a very public, very brutal display of power and the consequences of defiance. Pure terror tactic.
Even the logistics change. Mentors now have to be seen side by side with their tributes during transport.
Yeah, despite the obvious risks. Sharpshooters are posted nearby, just in case. Coriolanus suspects Dr. Gall might even be hoping for another incident, more violence, to boost engagement.
That's dark.
It is. It shows how calculated she is. It's crystal clear by this point. The games aren't just about punishment anymore. They're becoming a strategic tool of control, a psychological weapon, wrapped up in this increasingly elaborate and disturbing form of entertainment.
They're actively shaping the narrative, shaping the horror to keep the population in line.
Right.
Coriolanus and Lucy Gray. A complex alliance emerges. Okay, this feels like the real heart of the story, doesn't it? The relationship, if you can call it that, between Coriolanus Snow and his District 12 tribute, Lucy Gray Baird. It's just incredibly complicated.
It really is. And it's fascinating because despite this fundamentally unequal, inherently exploitative setup, mentor, and tribute in the Hunger Games, something genuine seems to form between them.
Like a real connection.
Yeah, albeit a very messy, complicated one. And it reveals vulnerabilities on both sides, which kind of pushes back against the idea that everyone in this system is just a monster or a victim. It humanizes them in a dehumanizing situation.
And Lucy Gray's introduction is just unforgettable.
Completely. At the reaping, she doesn't just stand there terrified. She sashays around, drops a snake down another girl's dress.
The snake, and then she sings that defiant song, "You can't take my sass."
You can kiss my ass and then keep on walking. And then she takes a deep curtsy, pulling the boy tribute into a bow with her. It's pure performance, pure charisma.
And Coriolanus sees this.
He sees it. And even though his initial reaction is that she's a long shot, a throwaway, an insult to him as a mentor, he immediately recognizes that her performance captured the Capitol's attention. He sees a spark of hope, maybe for her survival, but definitely for his own success.
Her co-tribute, Jessup, is more what you'd expect from District 12.
Right. He's described as bigger than average and strong-looking, but covered in coal dust, ringed with black. He's the visual representation of District 12's poverty, while Lucy Gray, despite coming from the same place, has this almost otherworldly stage presence.
And then comes the zoo scene, which is just horrifying.
It's awful. The tributes are treated like animals, transported in livestock cars, smelling of manure, put in cages. Coriolanus feels pity and revulsion. He sees them as creatures out of another world, a hopeless, brutish world.
But Lucy Gray isn't acting like a creature.
No. She's calm, untangling her hair, and then comes that amazing moment when Coriolanus is just frozen, embarrassed to be seen in the cage with the riffraff.
Yeah, and she tells them.
Softly, she just says, "Own it." It's such a simple, powerful piece of advice, a demand for authenticity in this completely artificial, cruel setting.
And she connects with people immediately, even the capital kids.
Yeah, she talks to a little boy, Pontius, asks his name, lets him touch her dress even though he has syrup on his hands, says, "It's pretty." And then she drops that line about her mother being just her bones, darling, just her pearly white bones.
Wow. Just casually revealing this immense loss. It's disarming.
It totally is.
Yeah.
And it seems to disarm Coriolanus, too, because then he shares something vulnerable. He admits his family doesn't have much money, that he once ate half a jar of paste because he was starving.
He tells her that. The tribute.
He does. And her response isn't pity. It's just this simple connecting question. Yeah. How was it? And it makes him laugh. A genuine moment.
That's huge. A real crack in the facade.
It is. He notices she looks genuinely interested in him for the first time. He feels remarkably close to her. It challenges all his prejudices about district people being brutish.
And their bond keeps growing from there.
It does. He brings her food bread pudding from Tigris. And Lucy Gray's eyes fill with tears. She's so touched. During their official interview, she drops the sparkly camera personality, and he finds she's easy to tell things to.
He starts trusting her, or feeling comfortable with her.
A sense of familiarity develops. He still thinks anything he tells her will just vanish in the arena, which is calculating, but the connection feels real too. Even Pluribus Bell, the black marketeer, trusts them with his guitar, thinking it's good to have a friend in the audience. She wins people over.
And Coriolanus starts seeing her popularity as a strategic advantage, right? With the new sponsor gifts.
Exactly. He realizes her connection with the audience could mean something in the arena now. He starts worrying about attracting more affluent viewers for her. His ambition and maybe some genuine care are getting tangled up.
But then things get really dark really fast. Arachne's murder.
Yeah, that shakes everyone. Coriolanus is covered in blood, has flashbacks to the war, his mother's death, food riots. He sees Lucy Gray hiding, body shaking, and realizes he was shaking as well.
Yeah.
It's a shared trauma that cuts across the Capital District divide.
Clemencia getting bitten by Dr. Gall's snakes.
Horrifying. Her skin becomes mottled with scales, reptilian. Yeah. Coriolanus fears she's going to end up in Dr. Gull's lab with the other experiments, the human-animal hybrids, the Avoxes.
Yeah.
It shows the terrifying reality of Gall's power and cruelty.
Well, Sejanus is still protesting.
Still speaking out. You have no right to starve people. No right to take away their life and freedom. But Dr. Gall just dismisses him as a boy. His moral outrage has no effect on her system.
And amidst all this horror, Coriolanus makes this intense confession to Lucy Gray.
He does. He admits he was jealous after she sang her ballad, wanted her thinking about him. He tells her she's the most incredible girl I've ever met, extraordinary in every way. And then, I don't want to lose you. I refuse to lose you.
That sounds like more than just a mentor talking.
It feels much more personal. And she accepts his mother's silver compact, not just as a gift, but as focus point. She says winning seems too big, but getting the compact back to him, that she can wrap her mind around. It's a symbol of their connection, their shared goal, her growing trust.
Even Dean Highbottom notices their connection.
Yeah, he comments on the touching scene when they parted before the games. Their bond, however complicated, is becoming visible.
It's incredible how this system designed to divide and dehumanize actually ends up fostering these really intense, complicated human connections.
It's one of the central ironies, isn't it? The games try to prove humanity's savagery, but they also reveal its capacity for connection, vulnerability, and maybe even love in the most unlikely places. V. The game's in motion. Shifting dynamics and unforeseen consequences.
All right, so the mentors and tributes have formed these connections, strategies, fears. And now the 10th Hunger Games actually begin, and it's clear this isn't just going to be broadcast, it's going to be actively manipulated.
Oh, absolutely. Dr. Gall isn't just an observer, she's a player. The arena becomes her laboratory, and the games are a live experiment, pushing everyone, tributes, mentors, maybe even the audience to their absolute limits.
It really makes you question what entertainment even means in this contest. When does it just become torture for spectacle?
And how far will they go? How much will they intervene to ensure the outcome they want or the lesson they want to teach? We see the Capitol, through Dr. Gall, actively creating the chaos, not just observing it.
The opening ceremony itself sets a grim tone. Coriolanus sings the anthem.
Not very well, apparently. More like sustained talking than a melodic tour de force. But he gets applause anyway, and a nod from President Ravenstill.
And the president uses Arachne's death in his speech.
Immediately. Frames her death as valiant, blames the disease of rebellion, reinforcing the idea that peace is impossible while the districts exist in their current state. Pure propaganda right from the top.
But then comes something truly unprecedented. Marcus.
Yeah, Marcus, the District 2 tribute, Sejanus's tribute, he'd escaped after the arena bombing, but they found him. And they bring him out.
What do?
They hang him from chains by his wrists. He's so battered and bloody, Coriolanus thinks he's dead. The text explicitly says there was no precedent for Marcus's torture. This is Dr. Gall escalating things, a new level of retaliation, pure public terror.
How does Sejanus react?
He completely loses it, shaking with rage, screaming, "Monsters! You're all monsters here." He smashes a chair into the screen showing Marcus, then runs out. He can't stomach it.
And then the games officially start.
The gong sounds, most tributes scatter into the tunnels, a few grab weapons. Lucy Gray strategically heads for the far side, trying to avoid the initial bloodbath.
But the games don't start fast, do they? Because of the bombing.
Right. Dr. Gall notes that over a third of the tributes didn't even make it into the arena. But she's unfazed. Says, in terms of fatalities, we're running neck and neck with last year.
That's incredibly callous. Just focus on the body count.
Completely. It's all data to her. Then comes another random horror. Jessup, Lucy Gray's district partner, gets rabies from a raccoon bite back at the zoo.
Rabies. In the arena.
Yeah. He gets sick, feverish, stiff-limbed. He attacks a water drone, then goes after Lucy Gray. It's this unpredictable biological threat thrown into the mix. Exactly the kind of chaos Gall seems to relish.
And then she introduces her something special. The snakes.
The rainbow snakes from the lab, the same ones that bit Clemencia. They fly the tank into the arena. Clemencia screams when she sees them. You think, okay, this is it for anyone near them.
But not for Lucy Gray.
Against all odds, no. The snakes seem drawn to her, subject to her siren song. They ignore other targets and just flock to her. It's bizarre, almost supernatural. It saves her and makes her seem even more unique, maybe even dangerous to the capital audience.
But Lucy Gray isn't just relying on singing to snakes, is she? She makes some ruthless moves herself.
She does. She later confesses to Coriolanus that she killed Wovi, the little girl from District 8, with poisoned water. She claims she poisoned Reaper from District 11 as a mercy killing after he supposedly got rabies from Jessup spitting in his eye. And she killed Treach from District 7 with a viper in self-defense.
So she's a survivor, using whatever means necessary. Poison, snakes.
Absolutely. She's not just a passive victim or a magical songbird. She's actively fighting, strategizing, killing to survive. And Coriolanus reveals his own secret manipulation too.
The handkerchief.
Yeah. He confesses he dropped his father's handkerchief into the snake tank beforehand so they'd get used to Lucy Gray's scent. He tampered with the snake so they wouldn't bite her.
Wow, so he directly interfered to protect her, cheating the games for her.
He did, which shows how invested he is, but also his willingness to bend or break rules for his own ends, even at this stage. His motives are getting really tangled.
And the violence isn't contained just to the tributes, is it? The mentors are affected too.
Definitely. The arena bombing killed the District 6 tributes, the Ring Twins, but it also badly injured 3 mentors. Gaius Breen from District 9 actually dies from his injuries later, losing both legs. The capital isn't immune to the chaos it creates.
And Coriolanus himself nearly dies.
Yeah, trapped by a falling beam after the bombing. Searing pain, thinks he's burning to death, and Lucy Gray comes back, saves him. He feels this immense relief, a moment of pure reliance on her.
But then he becomes a killer.
Dr. Gall forces him into the arena, and he ends up killing Bob and the District 8 boy with a club. He tells himself it was self-defense.
And Dr. Gall uses this.
Oh, she uses it as her ultimate lesson. Tells him what happened in the arena, that's humanity undressed, how quickly civilization disappears. A boy with a club who beats another boy to death, that's mankind in its natural state. She basically tells him, this is who you really are, you made the choice.
How does he react to that?
He's enraged, furious that she forced him to kill just to prove her point. But it also resonates. He realizes his own desire isn't for nobility, it's for being in control. His essay for her shifts from fluff to being about the value of control, on what happens without it. He's starting to internalize her philosophy.
While Lucy Gray is weakening.
Yes. After Jessup dies, she's fading fast. Weak, injured, distracted, starving. Coriolanus becomes desperate to get food to her to keep her alive. His success is tied to her survival.
It's brutal. The games aren't just reflecting human nature. They seem to be actively forging it, pushing people towards violence and control under the guise of entertainment.
Exactly. Dr. Gull isn't just observing, she's cultivating the very savagery she claims is inherent. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, orchestrated live on television. It's life in District 12, a new reality in lingering shadows.
So the game's end, Lucy Gray wins, thanks in no small part to Coriolanus' interventions. But instead of triumph, he finds himself demoted, reassigned.
Yeah, it's a sharp fall from grace, or at least from his expectations. He's sent to District 12, of all places, to be a peacekeeper. It's a massive, jarring shift from the capital, even the crumbling capital he knew.
Talk about culture shock. And his struggle for control just takes on a completely different form there, right?
Absolutely. This period in District 12 is critical. It's where we see him grapple with the stark reality of the districts versus his lingering capital ambitions. It forces him to confront who he is and what he wants, away from Dr. Gull's direct influence, but maybe solidifying her lessons anyway. Rousseau's chains become very real, very visible here.
What's his impression of District 12?
He hates it, calls it an ugly place. All concrete buildings, flaking paint, and misery covered in coal dust. Not fit for human habitation, he thinks. Pure capital disdain.
Did he choose to go there?
He actually asked for District 12, believe it or not, seeking anonymity, trying to escape the shame of his situation back in the capital after how the games ended for him personally.
And peacekeeper life is
Mind-numbing, just marching or mopping. But then he gets his hands on a rifle during target practice, and that makes him feel safer, more powerful. Control again. He immediately starts planning to take the officer test to get out of the grunt work, to climb the ladder.
still struggling financially, too.
Oh, yeah. Sends half his meager paycheck back home to Tigress and Grandmom, eats nut butter on soda crackers, constantly reminded of the comforts, like May Plinth's breakfast rolls, that he's lost.
And Tigress gives him some interesting advice before he goes.
She does, tells him to be kind and not to look down on people who had to choose between death and disgrace. And then she adds that cryptic line, "We all did things we're not proud of."
Hinting that maybe she made compromises during the war for the family.
It certainly seems that way. A little glimpse into the hidden costs of survival, even for the Snows. It suggests moral ambiguity isn't limited to the districts.
And then who shows up in District 12 but Sejanus Plinth?
Yeah, incredibly. Sejanus follows him there, also as a peacekeeper. But his motives are totally different. He tells Coriolanus he wants to build a whole new, beautiful life here, make the world a better place, wants to be a medic, help people, refuses to kill anyone.
Still the idealist. Still holding on to that Lockean goodness.
Completely. A total contrast to Coriolanus' growing cynicism.
Mm-hmm.
And Coriolanus witnesses things in District 12 that push him further down that path, like the execution at the hanging tree.
Arlo Chance's hanging. That scene is powerful.
It really is. Especially the Mockingjays, picking up the tune, repeating the victim's last words, then weaving it into their song. Coriolanus remembers Lucy Gray saying, "The show's not over until the Mockingjay sings," and he has this chilling realization. The Capitol show was the hanging.
He sees his first Mockingjay there and dislikes it.
Yeah, a symbol of uncontrolled mimicry, of rebellion almost. It foreshadows his later obsession with eliminating them. And soon after, he finds out Sejanus is actually involved with real rebels.
Spruce and Lil.
Right. He discovers Sejanus meeting with them, buying weapons, guns, axes from the black market, planning to escape up north to where there are supposedly free people.
And Coriolanus' reaction is?
Betrayal. Cold, calculated betrayal. He uses a Jabberjay, one of those recording birds in the hangar, to secretly record Sejanus talking about his plans, his contacts, everything. And he sends that recording straight to Dr. Gull.
How does he justify that? Even to himself?
He rationalizes it. Thinks maybe it's a favor. Maybe Sejanus will just get prison time instead of execution. Maybe his rich father can buy him out.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, he's sacrificing Sejanus for his own potential gain, removing a complication.
While all this is happening, he reconnects with Lucy Gray's world, too.
Yeah, he finds her and her musical family, the Cubby Maud Ivory, Tam Amber, Clerk Carmine, Barb Azure. They perform at the Hob, the local black market.
And Lucy Gray songs become really significant.
They really do. There's one about Billy Top's cheating. There's The Hanging Tree, which she frames as Billy Top's song about escape or death. And then she writes one for Coriolanus, "Pure as the driven snow."
Praising his supposed goodness after everything.
Yeah, acknowledging how he helped her survive the games, mentioning the 3 and 20 other tributes. It shows how much she still idealizes him, or perhaps wants to believe in his goodness. And ironically, she sings "Keep on the Sunny Side" during the double murder later.
Their reunion must have been intense.
Extremely. He finds her at the Hob. She's confused, then recognizes him, then shows pure joy. He feels his body tingled in anticipation. They go sit by a lake, share their stories from the game.
She tells him about her kills.
Details them. Wovey, Reaper, Treach, how she used poison. And he confesses about using his father's handkerchief to scent the snakes for her. Sharing these dark secrets deepens their strange intimacy.
She reveals something about Dean Highbottom.
Yeah, that the dean apologized to her after the games, said sorry for what she went through, and even gave her cash. This completely threw Coriolanus. He can't figure out the dean's motives. Why would the creator of the game show kindness?
Lucy Gray seems to have a clearer perspective on things.
She does. She tells him the Cubbies are just us. Not district, not capital, just family. And she sees Coriolanus as similar, someone who wants to think for yourself, who pushes back. She even asks him point blank if he thinks the games are right.
Putting him on the spot. And she introduces him to Katniss.
Yeah, the swamp potatoes. Calls them Katniss because it has a nice ring to it. A little seed planted for the future, unknowingly.
But there's also tension around escape plans. Billy Taupe wants her to run north.
Right. She rejects him, but Coriolanus overhears their plan. And then ultimately Coriolanus and Lucy Gray decide to run away together. He sees it as his only lifeline, his only way out of the mess he's in.
So District 12 becomes this intense pressure cooker for him. The grim reality, Sejanus's idealism and rebellion, Lucy Gray's complicated presence, his own ambition and fear.
It forces everything to a head. He's caught between the capital's ideology of control and the possibility of a different kind of freedom, represented by both Sejanus and Lucy Gray. And he has to make choices that will seal his fate. 7. The ultimate test of nature. Betrayal and transformation.
Okay, this is it. The final act, where all those philosophical questions about human nature, control, survival, they just collide in this incredibly brutal and dark conclusion.
This is where the mask fully comes off. It forces us and Coriolanus to confront that question. When you're pushed, truly pushed, what choices do you make? What does it reveal about who you actually are, as Dr. Gall would put it?
It starts with violence at the hub.
Yeah. A brawl breaks out after Lucy Gray performs, sparked by Billy Taupe. And Coriolanus sees this animal wildness, and Dr. Gall's words echo in his head. That's mankind in its natural state. That's humanity undressed.
And in that chaos, he acts.
He shoots Billy Taupe, kills him, and then almost immediately he shoots Mayfair Lip, the mayor's daughter, who saw him do it, to silence the witness.
How does he process that, killing 2 people?
He calls it another form of self-defense, and chillingly notes that the second killing was just easier than the first. The desensitization is rapid, the moral lines are blurring or maybe just erasing themselves.
And then Sejanus gets arrested.
Days later, yeah. Peacekeepers arrest him for treason. Spruce, one of the rebels involved in the murders, is dead. Coriolanus knows instantly it was his Jabberjay message to Dr. Gall that did it. His betrayal has immediate fatal consequences for Sejanus.
And he has to watch Sejanus hang.
He does. He witnesses the execution. Hears Sejanus's last cries of "Ma, Ma," being picked up by the Jabberjays, echoing that earlier hanging. It's horrifying.
But Coriolanus shows no emotion.
He forces himself to remain stone-faced and speechless, won't give them the satisfaction of seeing him break. But inside, he knows the truth. He knows his rifle, the one used to kill Mayfair, covered in his DNA, is still out there somewhere. The loose end.
Which makes the escape plan with Lucy Gray even more urgent.
Initially, yes. He gets reassigned to officer training in District 2, a step up. But he decides his only real option is to run away with Lucy Gray. It feels like his only lifeline.
But the rendezvous by the lake doesn't go as planned.
Not at all. Lucy Gray shows up with this old burlap bag. And inside are the guns Sejanus bought from the black market, including the Peacekeeper rifle Coriolanus used to kill Mayfair.
She brought the murder weapon. Why?
It's ambiguous. Maybe to dispose of them together. Maybe as a test. But for Coriolanus, it triggers a terrible realization.
What does he realize?
He realizes if he gets rid of those guns, there's nothing connecting him to the murders. Absolutely nothing. Except
Lucy Gray.
Exactly. She's the only witness left. He tries to reassure himself she'd never tell. It would implicate her too. She loves him. She trusts him. But the thought is planted. If he abandons her now, she would see it as a betrayal. She becomes a threat.
His perception of her shifts completely, from lifeline to liability.
Instantly. The love, the connection, it just evaporates in the face of his ambition and self-preservation. And Lucy Gray, with her sharp instincts, senses it. She knows something has changed, figures out his intent, and she hides. Coriolanus suspects she knows he's responsible for Sejanus' death, too.
And he goes after her.
He pursues her with the rifle. Tells himself he just wants to talk to her, make her see sense. But he's hunting her. She leads him towards a snake. Maybe a warning, maybe a final desperate ploy.
Does he shoot?
He fires a spray of bullets in her direction. Hears a faint cry. But when he searches, there's no trace of her. She's just gone.
Vanished.
Vanished. And then it starts to rain, a real downpour. He thinks it will wash away everything, his footprints, any sign he was there. The guns are gone. Lucy Gray is gone. His past is being symbolically cleansed by the storm.
Leaving him free to return to the capital.
Completely free. Dr. Gall confirms she got his message, the Jabberjay recording about Sejanus. She knows he chose control over loyalty. She gives him one last test. Redefine the purpose of the games, beyond just punishment. He needs to articulate the philosophy of control he now embodies.
And he confronts Dean Highbottom one last time.
To get his mother's compact back.
Yeah.
And the dean drops that final bombshell revelation.
That he invented the games as a joke. A punishment for Coriolanus' father.
Yeah. A personal vendetta. They were friends, fell out over a woman. The games were designed specifically to spite Crassus Snow and his legacy. The dean hated Coriolanus simply because he was his father's son.
And Coriolanus' response to this revelation?
Cold, calculated murder. He subtly poisons the dean's morphling supply. Kills him. Leaves the dean's diploma on the desk, marked awarded to a traitor. Eliminating the last person who knew the truth, the last link to a past he wants buried.
Wow, no loose ends left.
None. Sejanus, Lucy Gray, Dean Highbottom, all silenced or removed. His path back to the capital, back to power, is completely clear. He's learned Dr. Gall's lessons all too well.
The transformation is complete.
Utterly. He returns to the capital, no longer the desperate boy trying to survive, but the calculating young man fully committed to control. The story ends with that perfectly chilling line.
Snow lands on top.
Snow lands on top. It's a terrifying evolution, from someone struggling within a broken system to someone who masters it by sacrificing every shred of his humanity. Makes you wonder how much was the system and how much was just waiting inside him all along. Outro.
So we've really gone deep today, haven't we? Into the origins of Panem, the early Hunger Games, the philosophy underpinning it all.
Yeah, we started with those big ideas about human nature, Locke, Rousseau, Wordsworth, Shelley, and traced them through the decaying capital, the brutal evolution of the games.
Witness that incredibly complex bond between Coriolanus and Lucy Gray.
And ended with that chilling series of betrayals and Coriolanus' final cold transformation into the President Snow we know.
It leaves you with that really unsettling question, doesn't it? The one Dr. Gall basically forces on Coriolanus and maybe on us too.
Did Panem's environment, the war, the poverty, the constant need for control, did it just reveal that mankind in its natural state, that savagery she believed in?
Or did the system itself, the games, the punishment, the control, did it actively create the monsters? Did it, like Mary Shelley wrote, blight all kindly feeling?
It's the ultimate nature versus nurture question, played out on a terrifying scale. What stands out to you after hearing all this? What do you think about that balance between freedom and control and what survival truly costs?
It's definitely a lot to think about long after you finish the book. It resonates far beyond Panem.
It really does.
Yeah.
Pushes you to think about the structures we live under and the choices they force us or allow us to make.
Well, that's our deep dive for today. Thank you so much for joining us.
We'll be back soon with another stack of sources, another fascinating topic to explore.
Until then, keep digging for those nuggets of truth.